Hello, welcome to 2020. Brand new decade, brand new selection of paintings. The first one I'm doing is a nice snowy forest. That's what I thought. I thought I'll paint a snow scene. I've not decided where I'm going to go with it yet. In terms of, will I have an animal in it? Will I not have an animal in it? The choice is between a red fox, I think that would look pretty nice, and maybe a stag. Maybe a stag. We'll have to see. But yeah, everything at the moment is geared towards winter. It's nice and cold here in Buxton in England. For the first time in 30 years I'm growing a beard. Actually, the reason I'm growing this beard is it's just an experiment, really. I just want to see how scruffy this can get before I have to shave it off and go back to my clean shaven self. So let's just see what happens there. It's starting to take shape. At the moment we're still just getting background colours in. We've got to get this background as dark and as rich as it needs to be, because it's going to be very difficult to do that after you put on foreground branches and foreground trees. So it's very important in this picture that we go back to front. Background to foreground. Hopefully we'll get the background to a level today where we can then say, right, now we can start bringing it forward. That's when it's going to get interesting. At the moment it just seems like a lot of slightly unrewarding work, really, but you have to have faith in things like this. You have to just know that what you're doing is right. It may not look brilliant yet after all the work you're putting in, but you are laying the foundations. You notice here that I'm just drawing everything freehand with pastel pencils. The pastel pencils that I prefer to use are Stabilo Carbothellos and Caran d'Ache pencils. They're my favourites. Yeah, look over my shoulder. This is the where we are as of today, the snowy forest scene. I'm starting to put the blue sky filtering through the snow-laden branches. That's actually the most difficult part of this entire painting, I think. And the other difficult bit is going to be deciding what's going to go in it. Should it just be a landscape? Should it have a stag in it? That was my original idea. Or a red fox, or something else. We shall see. So we're a bit further on with this now. It's been a slow start with this one, to be honest. It's such a complex scene, really, that it's been hard to sort of nail down any sort of areas that you can call almost finished. You know, it's you get that kind of security in a painting sometimes when you've got to a certain level on a piece, and then you're confident that you'll be able to finish it, so you move on to another area and that sort of thing. When something is quite large and complex everywhere, it's very hard to get into that sort of secure place. So it's been a bit of a slow start here, but I think we've made a bit of a breakthrough yesterday. I got a little bit more finish over here, which I'm starting to like. So I'm starting to see the end product in my mind more clearly. So let's see how we go on today. Yeah, so that's how it looks so far. Today is actually my 60th birthday, so that's been a little bit of a distraction as well. 60, can't believe it. Can't believe it. Where does the time go? Anyway, so the picture is definitely starting to take shape, although for some reason I'm procrastinating about the animal. It's just pure laziness, I think. I know I want to put a fox in there, but and I know where the fox is going to go. It's just doing it. It's almost like this scene is such hard work that I don't want to be distracted thinking about the fox. But we're getting to the point now where the fox has to go in. And I think tomorrow the fox will have to go in. At the moment I've been doing the branches, lots and lots of branches, trying to bring the whites out. Now the whites are obviously a very, very important part of this painting. And when you're using whites, it's important to use the right ones if you want to get a really powerful white. This pencil's pretty good, but it's not as powerful as a stick. So what I am actually using is the Rembrandt white. A Rembrandt white is very good. Sharpened to a little bit of an edge, and that will give a very, very bright white line. So will the Unison. The Unison white, again sharpened so that we've got a bit of an edge on it. That'll give a very bright white. And what I particularly like is this Pastel white. That you can sharpen to a very fine point. It's quite hard, so it'll do a very fine line. I like this one. So I'm using a combination of all of these whites to try and keep the whites as pure and fresh. It's very important in something like this because it's whites surrounded by dark areas, and we can't afford to smudge dark dust over the whites. So I'm having to be quite careful about that, because the contrasts here are going to make this painting. One little consideration I've got for this painting, which is starting to concern me a little bit, is I've only got one of the Caran d'Ache 788003. It's the perfect colour for the snow in the foreground, but it's starting to run out. And Caran d'Ache pencils have an annoying habit when you sharpen them of breaking. They're not very easy to sharpen. I wish Caran d'Ache would use a wood that wasn't quite so hard, because you have to really try hard to sharpen them. These don't work in a normal wind-up sharpener. So I have a bit of concern that I'm going to use all this up before I've done all the snow. So I've got to look online and see if I can get any individual Caran d'Ache pencils. Very important, because that's playing on my mind. It's bothering me, and I'm sort of using it less than I should be because I'm concerned that I've only got a little bit. So yeah, sort that out today, Eric. Note to self. Right, let's see what I can do today. Oh, I just had to show you this. It's my Neanderthal spearhead. I just love the fact that you can hold something in your hand that was made by a Neanderthal man. It's one of my favourite things, so I keep it in my studio to inspire me. Okay, back to the painting. The trees to the right hand side are looking quite nice. We've done quite a bit more work there. They're coming along really nicely, so I'm quite pleased with those. That's probably the most complicated part of the picture. So quite happy there. Now I really can't delay any longer. It's time to put the fox into the picture. Now, there's always the thorny issue of scale when you're dealing with anything like this. You've got to get the scale right. So what I've done, I've revisited the scene, because these woods are 5 minutes from my house. So I've gone there again today and just checked how big am I in that particular forest scene. And quite surprisingly small, actually. Yeah, the trees are bigger than I had in mind. Sometimes it's difficult to judge these things when you're just looking at a picture of some woods with nothing to reference scale in it. But I've done that now, and I can see that the height of me is basically here to the ground. That's the scale of a human being. So my fox then is going to be down here, quite small, probably about that big. So what we have to do now is put him in there. My initial idea was to sketch a fox that was coming out of the scene. So that's what I did. I sketched one in, I pushed the scale very slightly, so it was probably slightly bigger than it should have been, but I think I could get away with that. So I had this rough idea of a fox of coming forward out of the scene, but then when I really sort of looked at it and waited overnight, went back to it the next day, I thought, no, I don't like the idea that he's coming out of the scene. I wanted something that was in the scene. I thought that would look a lot better. So you notice here I've sketched another fox on top of that one, and he is in the scene. And I like that one better, so that was the one I started to add colour to. And then all that was left was to do the bottom right snow. Another very complicated part of the picture that was. There wasn't an easy inch of this painting. Usually in a painting you get whole areas that might be just one colour or, you know, a variation of tones, but here it was complicated every single inch. So the snow, I'm working from dark to light, just putting a base colour of snow and then adding the white on top. You've got to be very careful doing that with pastel. If your base colour that's darker than the white, if that's too thick and there's too much pastel there, then the white isn't going to be pure white. And you'll notice down at the bottom right that I've gone straight in with white with no base colour underneath. And that's the reason I did that, just to keep the pure whites pure white so that there'd be no contamination, because it was very important in this painting that the lights really were bright and clean. And then towards the end I thought, well, when you're in the woods you often miss wildlife. I did think about putting a squirrel in there somewhere, but I ended up putting a robin, a little robin redbreast, because they're associated in England certainly with winter time. You can just see him towards the bottom right of the painting. So, quite pleased with it at the end of the day. I think it's got a bit of mood and atmosphere. I hope you like it. I hope you liked the video about it, just a diary really of sort of my thoughts and emotions as I went through the painting. I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribed as well. That would be great, because there'll be lots of new content coming, and feel free to comment in the comments below. Thank you.